Hey there, I'm Christopher McCore from Wholeness Geeks, and welcome to Meditation Happy Hour. This is a time when I share meditations and practices and processes and perspectives and sometimes even performances, both ancient, traditional and modern. And today I'm going to share an extension of a meditation practice that I've been doing for a long time, and it's developed into uh, essentially a memory palace. And I posted recently about this with a new development, and that was regarding um, spirals, the components of the spiral. Uh, but this is a new development in addition to that, and this is what I'm calling it at this point is the Star Body Palace. So where where this begins is a meditation retreat that I went to in 1981, and it was a Vipassana, a Buddhist Vipassana meditation retreat regarding sensation. And it's the American name for this technique is called sweeping. And the way you do this technique is you scan the body from head to foot for sensation. But you move you want to cover every square inch of your body. So you move in a pattern, a repeatable pattern, so that you just don't kind of bop around randomly. You move in a systematic way, so you cover every part of your body. And the way that pattern is up to you. You could kind of go in and you know um, starting at the. I think the thing that's common is that there's bands, like of as you move down. But how do you move in that band? And, you can do it like in rows, and um, the way that I eventually the pattern that I eventually um, settled on was a spiral, and a spiral in the sense of there's like a conduit going through the body. It's the spine, but it extends out the top of the head and it extends out the bottom of the below the perineum, down through the legs. And there's this, and you with your attention, this is just a way of moving your attention through your body. So if so you start it right at the top of the head, and you move in a spiral, but it's going to be a centrifugal spiral that's moving. It's moving out to the edge of your body perimeter, and then you move down one, and then you move centripetally, or you move in, clockwise in to that core, that conduit, and then you move down another band. Um, Now, where this eventually led was that the the bands became correlated with with the zodiac. In other words, in the traditional 12 sign zodiac, you have the head, the neck, which is Aries, the neck, which is Taurus, the shoulders and arms, which is Gemini, the chest, which is Cancer, and then going down, you have the heart, which is Leo, and then the stomach, which is Virgo, and then the groin, which would be Libra, and then the so the base of the spine would be Scorpio, and then the legs would be Sagittarius, and they would skip down to the calves, which would be Capricorn, and then the ankles would be Aquarius, and the feet would be Pisces. And as I was, working with this and revealing, I kept having this sense of, well, what about the knees? It's like such a, I mean, if you're going to include the ankles, you should include the knees. And I thought, is there a missing sign? A missing constellation? And I looked, and there was. And it's called Ophiuchus, and it comes right in between Sagittarius. It comes right before Sagittarius, in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, which would put it at the thighs, and then Sagittarius would move down to the knees. And not only did I find this missing sign, it became a 13 sign zodiac, but that sign is actually my sign. It's Ophiuchus is the time period from November 28th, I believe, to December 17th. Let me check to just be sure of those dates. Yeah, it's actually the 29th, November 29th to December 17th. Okay, so there we have we've divided it into bands now, right? So we're kind of like just being a little more organized and meaningful in this spiraling. But then I realized that there's like different, what I realized is that, well, like our beingness extends beyond our body. If you're scanning the body for sensation, you're going to get attuned to your energy. And if you're attuned to your energy, you're going to realize that it extends beyond your body. And so I realized, well, okay, so if we move one, it's like, what is that? If you move out beyond the body, the first sort of area that you encounter is the aura, a person's aura, the personal aura, right? Which is like 3 feet out from the body, so in 6 feet in diameter. But then I kept going out, and I realized that there's this collective aura. It actually coincides with what's called the Rainbow Bridge, which exists 60 miles above the Earth. It's like this energetic grid, and some people consider that to be kind of like heaven, that energy, where it's, yeah, I'll just say that much. So you've got this other diameter that's 120 miles, and then beyond that, it's just like out into infinity. So really, when you look at it, there's 5, including the core, there's 5 sheaths. You got the core, 1, you got the body, 2, you got the personal aura, 3, you got the collective aura, 4, and then you've got infinity, 5. So I started moving, being aware of that. And then I did some multiplication, and when I multiplied 13 by 5, I got 65, and I realized that this was very close to the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching. And I thought that, well, if the core is 1, and then you go 2, 3, 4, 5, and then every other band has 5, that you can actually map the hexagrams through this sequencing. You move out 5 sheets, you move down, move in 5 sheets, move down, move out 5 sheets. And I've been working with a sequencing of the hexagrams, which is different than like if you get a book, of the I Ching, and you look at the ordering, you've got like heaven, then you've got earth, and you've got difficulty at the beginning, and then, mentor, and then you have waiting. And that order is, what I want to say is that there's a different order that has been suggested to be in correlation to the sequencing of the human DNA, that there's actually that many, and in a particular order, it corresponds to the DNA. And you can find this information in various places, but one of the places you can find it is in Human Design, which is it's kind of like a typology system, like, astrology, or like the Enneagram, or like Myers-Briggs, or a lot more elaborate than most of those. So I had gotten into this new sequencing, which starts with 25, starts with hexagram 25, which is the unexpected, and then it goes to 17, which is following. So I mapped those hexagrams to these 64, in a sense, compartments of this grid that's going through the body. And then I realized that this, as we're spiraling around, there's like this. What I noticed was that there were some areas as I go around, like around the right side and the back. I noticed that there were certain areas that felt kind of uninvestigated. And I wanted to have more of a sense of what those were. And I was thinking of a way that I could give meaning to each of those, to this revolution around of the spiral through each of these. Would be, the conduit would be very small diameter, and then the body would be a bigger, and then the personal aura would be 6 feet, and then the collective aura would be 120 feet, and then into infinity. And what I came to was simply that, if you're familiar with the I Ching, that when you do the I Ching and you get a hexagram, there's 6. A hexagram is called a hexagram because it has 6 lines. Each one of those lines can be stable, or it can be changing. In other words, that line can be moving to its opposite. So, and then each one of those changing lines, right? If it's the first line changing, as opposed to the 5th or the 6th, each one of those changing lines has a meaning. So when you add that, when you multiply 6 times 64, you get 384 different meanings. And I realized that I could put those meanings, attach them to the 6-pointed star, which I had been doing. I'd been using the 6-pointed star as a way of representing a hexagram. In other words, you have a 6-pointed star, and you have like the base, and then you have the left side, and then the right side, and that's the bottom, the upward facing. Then you have the downward facing, so you have the left side of that, and then the right side of that, and the base of that, right? So you go bum, 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 bum. And I use that as a meditation object, synchronized with the pulse, and you can do mantras, and and I had been doing it with the hexagrams. So you could, like the first hexagram, or let's just take 25. So 25 is a solid line, and then a broken line, and then a solid line. I'm sorry, is that right? Yes, and then a solid line, and then a solid line, and then a solid line, right? And so you can see that, you can visualize that hexagram, but it's in the form of a 6-pointed star. Well, likewise, each one of those sides could be changing, or they could all be changing. But typically, for instance, in the I Ching, the way that's indicated is that if it's a solid line changing to a broken line, it'll have like a little circle on it. And if it's a broken line changing to a solid line, it'll have a little X in it. So now what I realize I can do is I can move through each of these sheaths in each of these bands with a different hexagram, which can also carry all the changing line information. So you not only have the information of each hexagram, but you have the information of each changing line. So you've got, in a sense, you've got like a 384 compartment memory palace, body palace. I call it the star body palace. So that's essentially what I'm sharing with you today. Um, and Usually on Meditation Happy Hour, I do a meditation. Um, I I I think I'm going to refrain from actually doing this meditation uh, with you today. It's well, actually, let me just I'll just try like the first band, right? The headband, just the first band. I'll try that, and I won't go into the changing lines, but I will mark out the hexagrams as I move through, and we'll just do that one. All right, so that's the meditation. So we're starting out in the core. So and like I said, in the core, that one actually doesn't have, which it's just I'm just calling it the axis mundi. So the core in the head band is just that's not a hexagram. It's just sort of like just oneness. So then we move into the perimeter of into the body. So the perimeter of this sheath is the perimeter of the head. So we're visualizing. So the six-pointed star now it's not this level. It's actually flattened out, right? And it's so we have so for this is like I said, this is hexagram 25. So it's going to be flattened out, and there's going to be a solid line, a broken line, then solid, solid, solid. Okay. So then I'm going to move out to 3 feet on each side, or 6 feet in diameter, and I'm going to be doing the following hexagram, which is solid, broken, broken. Keep in mind that this is flattened out, broken, broken, and then it goes broken, solid, solid. And that's the hexagram for the personal aura in the head band. So then we're going to move out to the collective aura. And the hexagram there is 21. So 21 is solid, broken, 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 and um, then it goes solid, broken, solid, and that's flattened out, and that's 120 miles out. So it's like this big six-pointed star that's carrying this hexagram information. Um, and then we're going to go out to infinity with the 51st hexagram, which is it's solid, broken, broken, solid, broken, broken. And that extends out into infinity. And then you would move down one band, and that would be hexagram 42. And you would be doing that, an infinite size hexagram. And then you move into the collective, then you move into the personal, move into the body, and then move into the core. And repeat that process, keep going down through the body. So this is the memory palace. I consider this a sacred memory palace because it's not like a memory palace could just be a room, right? But this is actually a geometric structure. It's actually a combination of your body, which is sacred, and this geometric structure, the six-pointed star, which is sacred, and these hexagrams, which are sacred, especially the ordering, this particular ordering of them. So that's it for today. This has been Body Star, Star Body Palace, and I'm Christopher McCore from Wholeness Geeks. And if you want to, get in touch, make comments, suggestions, you can join the Facebook Wholeness Geeks group, and you can even, when you join that group, you can even share your own meditations, practices, processes, perspectives, or performances, or some other thing that starts with P. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and be well.